Happy Vlogmas book friends. Today is Jane Austen's 250th birthday. And what better way to celebrate than by sharing my entire collection of books by and about one of my very favorite authors. Hello, I'm Jen and welcome back to my holiday reading life. Today is a very special video. It is a very special day for Jane Austen lovers around the world. It is Jane Austen's 250th birthday. 250 years ago today, one of the world's best loved author was born. And of course, we have to take a time out to celebrate her. I know there are celebrations of all kinds, big and small, taking place around the world. And of course, I had to be a part of that because I love Jane Austen, don't you? Her books bring me so much comfort and joy. And of course, we have to celebrate this milestone birthday. And I was trying to think of some way to mark this occasion. And what better way to do that than to share all of the books that I have collected throughout my years about Jane Austen, by Jane Austen, of course, retellings of her beloved stories. And that is what I'm here to share with you today. And be sure to stay tuned to the end of this video because I have some very special announcements about Jane Austen January, what our reading schedule is going to be, a bonus pick for you to read if you would like. So make sure you watch to the end of the video to get all the details. Before I actually get into showing you some of the books about Jane Austen and some of the retellings that I have sitting on my shelf, I thought I would let you take a little tour through all of my Jane Austen editions so you can see just how many I have. I'm sure it is not as much as some people, probably a lot more than others. I have been collecting her books over the course of many, many years and quite a number of decades. I think it just goes to show how beloved she really is by the fact that there are so many different editions of her books. I'm still trying to round out my own personal collection, and there are always new editions being published that I would love to get my hands on. And now here's a look through my shelves at my entire Jane Austen collection. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the different versions of her books that I have on my shelves. I would love to know what are some of your favorite editions and versions of her books. There are so many beautiful ones out there. And now let's get into all of the books that I have that are about Jane Austen and that are retellings of her stories. But first, I have to show you a close-up of my new Jane Austen holiday mug. It says there's nothing like staying home for real comfort, of course. Beautiful. I'll have a link to this mug down in the description box below, and if you would like to get one for yourself. I purchased this after Christmas last year and I have been waiting to use it, and of course I had to save it to celebrate Jane Austen's 250th birthday. Let me take a quick sip and then let us get into all the books I have to share with you about Jane Austen. Let us start off with the books I have that are retellings of Jane Austen's novels. Now, I have 5 books here to share with you. I'm going to go through them quite quickly. I have to say that I am not a huge fan of Jane Austen retellings for a couple of reasons. The first reason being that I find a lot of retellings do not capture the spirit of Jane Austen within the retelling. And so the language, the way the characters speak, the way they are described, it just doesn't feel to me in keeping with Jane Austen's original text. And then my second issue is that the characters themselves don't feel true to the characters in the original books. And so I do sometimes tend to stay away from retellings, but I do have a few here. And as we go through these, please let me know if you've read and loved any of these titles. First up is probably the Jane Austen retelling that has been on my shelf the longest, and that is An Assembly Such as This, a novel of Fitzwilliam Darcy, Gentleman, by Pamela Aden. This is the first book in a trilogy about Darcy, and in this, I think we follow part of the story from Pride and Prejudice from his perspective. And I have been both anxious and trepidatious about starting this one, so if anyone has read this, please let me know if you think I would enjoy it, but I really should either read it or pass it along to someone else because it has been on my shelf for a very long time. And next up is a very well-known retelling, and that is The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. This is another one that's been on my shelf for a very long time. I'm sure many of you have read it. I still haven't. I think this might be one that I actually enjoy because it's taking a minor character from one of Austen's novels and making her the centerpiece. So this is about Mary Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. And I'm thinking maybe that might work better for me, that it's not focused on one of the main characters that you get to know so well in Austen's novels. And therefore, I'm hoping that because you don't know her as a character as well from Austen's perspective, that maybe this might work for me. We shall see. Let me know if you've read this one and loved it. Now, this next book is less of a retelling of one particular novel and just takes its inspiration from Austen's novels and her heroines. And it was written by a friend of mine, and that is The Austen Sisters by D. Blankenship. And this imagines 5 sisters, each who embody the spirit of Jane Austen's heroines, and they're gathering at the luxurious Mansfield Park Resort for their cousin Fanny's wedding. And I really, really want to read this one. I think it sounds lovely. And again, because it's not a strict retelling of one of the novels, I think this one might work better for me. And look at that beautiful cover. Dee so kindly gifted this book to me. It came also with a beautiful matching bookmark. Love that. This has Fanny on the back. And there's a quote that says, "Her heart was made for love and kindness, not resentment." And that is a quote from Mansfield Park. But I really, really am looking forward to reading this one. I think I might do this one in the spring. Weddings in springtime, or maybe June, might be the perfect time for this. And it sounds lovely. But my lovely friend Dee has a wonderful Instagram account. I will have her linked in the description box below, as well as a link to her book and, of course, all of the books that I've mentioned in this video. So be sure to check down there for that so you can get more information. But yes, I'm excited for this. And then next is a book that's similar to the Austen sisters, where it's not really a retelling, but this book imagines if Jane Austen wrote advice letters, I believe. It's called Dear Jane Austen, A Heroine's Guide to Life and Love by Patrice Hannon. And so I think she just has Jane Austen writing advice, love advice. It says a compelling drama plays out in Austen's drawing room as she answers letters from heroines in training and greets visiting friends and family who don't hesitate to add their problems to Austen's tales. Witty and wise and perfectly capturing the tone of the author of Persuasion and Pride and Prejudice, Dear Jane Austen is as satisfying as sitting down to tea with the novelist herself. Yes. Has anyone read this one? I never hear this book talked about anywhere, and I'm very curious. I think I should just read it. Maybe I should read it in January. It would actually make a perfect book for epistolary January as well. So that might have to go on my January pile of possibilities. And then my final Austen retelling that is on my shelves is Murder at Northanger Abbey by Shannon Winslow. This is a sequel to Jane Austen's spoof on the Gothic novel, and this is what happens after Northanger Abbey. And Catherine and her husband Henry head back to Northanger Abbey, and while they're there, a murder occurs and her husband is accused of committing the murder, and she has to try to help clear his name. That is the basis for this story. I am a little over halfway through with it. I'm not going to talk about my feelings for this one because we are discussing this coming Saturday for the Cozy Reader Book Club. So if you're in book club, we will chat about it Saturday and I will share all my thoughts and feelings there. But I will say, if you are going to read this, I feel like maybe I should have gone back and reread Northanger Abbey before I read this one. I did go back and read the last few pages just to kind of orient myself as to where the book ended. But I think it would be helpful to either read or watch an adaptation of Northanger Abbey before you pick this one up if you're interested in reading it. Now we're going to get into my big stack right here of all of my nonfiction books about Jane Austen. Let me pull them closer. I think we'll just start at the top of the stack and work our way down. First up, I have The Wit and Wisdom of Jane Austen. I purchased this book last November, and during Jane Austen January, I actually read through. This is just a book of quotes from Jane Austen's novels and from her writings, and I clearly enjoyed it. I tabbed quite a few of the quotes. Let's just turn to a random one and see which one I marked. It says, "We certainly do not forget you as soon as you forget us. It is perhaps our fate rather than our merit. We cannot help ourselves. We live at home, quiet, confined, and our feelings prey upon us. You are forced on exertion. You have always a profession, pursuits, business of some sort or other to take you back into the world immediately, and continual occupations and change soon weaken impressions." That is Anne Elliot from Persuasion. If you enjoyed Jane Austen quotes, then this is the book to pick up. I really think it's beautiful as well. And clearly, I enjoyed many of the quotes that were included in this little edition. Next up is a book that I found over the summer in my library's bookstore, and that is A Jane Austen Education: How 6 Novels Taught Me About Love, Friendship, and the Things That Really Matter by William Deresiewicz. I hope I said that correctly. I do love the cover of this where it looks like a paper doll. Did anyone else love paper dolls when they were little? I loved paper dolls. So fun. But yes, this just sounds lovely. It says, in this unique and lyrical book, Deresiewicz weaves the misadventures of Austen's characters with his own youthful follies, demonstrating the power of the great novelist's teachings and how, for Austen, growing up and making mistakes are one and the same. Very much looking forward to reading this one. I haven't gotten to it yet, but if you've read this, let me know what you thought of it. Next up is a very fun little book, and that is the Jane Austen Escape Room book. This says Pride and Prejudice and Puzzles, and this is by Marjolaine Baston. She has some beautiful editions of Austen's novels that I would really love to add to my collection, but I do have this little escape room book. So it says, a unique game experience, an escape room in the world of Jane Austen. An elegant take on a literary classic, the Jane Austen Escape Room book is sure to delight and intrigue fans old and new of Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice. In this, Elizabeth Bennet wakes up after the grand ball in a coach going somewhere, and she has no memory of how she got there. It turns out her reputation has been ruined, and Mr. Darcy, just when it seemed that everything was finally looking up, wants no more to do with her. So we have to help her find out what happened and win back Mr. Darcy before it's too late. And that is what this escape room book is all about. So it's puzzles you have to solve in order to help her. I'm actually thinking about going through this and doing all the escape room puzzles in here during Jane Austen January. And if you are interested, I would be happy to film it and we can see how I do and if I'm able to escape the escape room. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. But yes, very much looking forward to diving into the puzzles in this one. I love puzzle books. Next, I have two books that are perfect for the holiday season about Jane Austen. And the first is Jane Austen Christmas, Regency Christmas Traditions by Mariah Grace. And the second is Jane Austen's Christmas, the Festive Season in Georgian England, edited by Mariah Hubert. And both of these obviously have to do with the holidays in Jane Austen, and this one has a lot of excerpts from like the holiday scenes in Jane Austen's books, excerpts from some of her letters from other writers from the Georgian period, and then this one just tells you more about traditions and things like that. So it talks about the food they eat, talks about the different celebrations they had, about holiday entertaining, caroling, so you just kind of learn about Christmas time during the Regency period. I have this one on my bedside table right now, and I'm just slowly reading through a little chapter at a time, and it is so very lovely, but I still need to get to this one, so maybe I will do that next Christmas. But fun to have a couple of Jane Austen holiday related books on my bookshelf. Next up is a nonfiction book that I read last year for Jane Austen January with a number of you, and that is Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. This is a fantastic biography of Jane Austen, all about her different homes and how those homes influenced her life, her writing, and it was so informative, so well researched. It added so much to my reading of Persuasion last year, and I absolutely love this book. I cannot recommend it enough to any Jane Austen fan. Definitely read this book. It is wonderful. It is perfect to read as a companion if you're reading a Jane Austen novel. It's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it, but it's a wonderful, wonderful biography. Let me know what other biographies of Jane read in addition to this one. I'm really interested in reading Paula Byrne's books about Jane Austen. She has two. Let me know if you've read either of those and which one I should pick up first. Next up is another fun little book, and that is Jane Austen's Table, Recipes Inspired by the Works of Jane Austen. And so this is just what it says it is. It's a little cookbook, and it has all kinds of different recipes in here, taking their inspiration from Jane Austen's novels and her world. I'm actually thinking that I might make this hot chocolate recipe. It is General Tilney's hot chocolate, and I think I might make it for our Saturday discussion of Murder at Northanger Abbey, because what could be better when discussing Murder at Northanger Abbey than sipping the delicious hot chocolate inspired by General Tilney. Next up is a nonfiction book, sort of a nonfiction book, written by Austen herself when she was quite young, and that is Jane Austen's The History of England by a partial, prejudiced, and ignorant historian. Note, there will be very few dates in this history. This edition is a complete facsimile of the original text with illustrations by her sister Cassandra, and my edition has an introduction by A.S. Byatt and a note on the text by Deirdre LeFay. I have read this and it is so utterly charming, and the first half of my edition has what the book looked like in Austen's own handwriting with, like it says, Cassandra's illustrations. And then, because her handwriting is very hard to read, in the back you have all of the sections typed out so that you can easily read them if you struggle with her handwriting. But this is just such a fantastic book. If you've never read it, I highly recommend picking it up. Austen's Juvenilia, and this one in particular, is a lot of fun. Next up is a beautiful little book that was gifted to me by my lovely friend Jacqueline. She gave this to me last year, and this is Jane Was Here, an illustrated guide to Jane Austen's England. This is by Nicole Jacobson and Devin Dayton with illustrations by Lexi K. Wilson, and this book is so wonderful, and it goes through all of the different places in Jane Austen's life and in her novels, and it is just so fun to go through this, look at all the lovely illustrations, read about the different places that show up in her books. I highly recommend this one also if you're a Jane Austen fan. It is lovely. I pick this one up and just kind of flip through it periodically, and I'm sure I will pull it off my shelf again for Jane Austen January to look through the sections that are from Sense and Sensibility, which is our group read for Jane Austen January. So this book definitely comes in handy, and it's so lovely. And next up is a book that came out this year that I know many Austen fans have read or have on their TBR, and that is Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney. And this is a rare book collector's quest to find the women writers who shaped a legend. So this really is about the authors and the women that Austen would have read in her own lifetime. And Romney goes through them, and if this book doesn't make you want to read these other women authors, nothing will. But she talks about Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, Charlotte Lennox, Maria Edgeworth, and a number of others. This is, well, let me say, I haven't finished this yet. I started it. I was completely engrossed in it. It is fascinating. And then, I don't know, I got distracted. You know how that happens sometimes when you're reading, but I am definitely going to be finishing this. I actually have the audiobook on hold from my library. I'm just waiting for it to come in so that I can finish. I am about halfway through, and I just want to listen to the audiobook because I love narrative nonfiction on audio, and I'm hoping to get this read. Hopefully it will come in the next few weeks, and I can read it during the end of December and into January, which will be perfect, of course, for Jane Austen January. So if you have not picked this one up yet, I highly recommend it. Also, if you're not following Rebecca Romney and you are on Instagram, give her a follow. Her account is lovely. I really enjoy all of the different little videos she shares about rare books. Fascinating. I don't know anything about that world, and I really enjoy listening to what she has to say, but this book is fantastic, and I'm so glad it's on my shelf. And now I have some other authors that I definitely want to read after having read Jane Austen's Bookshelf. And those are all of the books in my Jane Austen collection. That was quite a few. It took a while to get through them all. Hopefully you have made it this far. And now that we have gotten through all of my personal books on my bookshelves, let us talk about Jane Austen January, or as we like to call it around here, Jane-uary. And if you haven't heard already, we are reading Sense and Sensibility in January. This was the book that won the poll I put up, and I'm very excited. This is my favorite Austen novel, and I cannot wait to discuss it with all of you. I am going to have some information down in the description box about our read-along of Sense and Sensibility. We are going to have discussions on Discord for each of the chapter groupings, and I'm going to set up discussion threads for each group of chapters so you can go into that thread on Discord and discuss it over the weekend following each week that we will read whatever set of chapters. In addition to Discord, there are a couple of other ways you can participate in the discussion of Sense and Sensibility. If you prefer not to use Discord, I will also set up posts on the community tab of my YouTube channel. You can feel free to go in there and discuss the book and the chapters as well. And also, I'm going to have a couple of live stream discussions of the book. Our first live stream discussion is going to be at the halfway point of the book. So on Sunday, January 18th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will meet on YouTube Live and discuss the first half of Sense and Sensibility. So mark your calendars, and I hope to see you then. And then we are going to do a live wrap-up of the entire book. And this wrap-up, I am actually going to have a special guest on. My lovely friend Beth from Small Home Comforts is going to join me on Friday, January 30th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are going to have a live stream discussion of the entire novel. I hope you will join both of us. We are going to chat all things Sense and Sensibility, Eleanor and Marianne. Let us dive into the Dashwood sisters and their world, and it's going to be a fantastic time. And again, I hope to see you there. And then finally, I have one other way you can participate in Jane Austen January. Last year, like I mentioned, we had an optional group read of Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. And I thought this year we would do something similar where I would pick another book that you could choose to read if you like. It is not mandatory in any way to participate in the discussion of Sense and Sensibility, but if you wanted to read something else alongside it, I have decided this year that we will read through Jane Austen's selected letters. You don't need to read this particular edition. I have the Dover Thrift edition here. You can pick any edition of Jane Austen's letters. I don't think it really matters if we read exactly the same edition and if maybe some of the letters are in some editions and not in others. We will just generally chat about Austen's letters. And because it is also Epistolary January, I thought this was the perfect read for this year's Jane Austen January because, of course, you could also read this for Epistolary January. We will discuss the selected letters of Jane Austen on Discord. I will also put up a post on the YouTube community page as well, where you can share your thoughts on her letters there if you aren't on Discord. But whether you're reading the selected letters or not, I do hope that you will join us for Sense and Sensibility. I am so looking forward to reading this. Again, all of the schedule information is down in the description box below. It will also be listed on the Discord channel, so you can always refer to it there. And I will also upload the schedule to the community tab on my YouTube channel, so be sure to check it out in one of those places so that you know which chapters to read each week. And I look forward to talking all things Sense and Sensibility with you in January. And that will wrap up this video celebrating Jane Austen's 250th birthday. Thank you so much for coming along with me as I shared my Jane Austen collection. And I do hope you enjoyed it. Let us chat all things Jane Austen down in the comments below. Share your favorite Jane Austen books. Tell me what nonfiction books about her you love. What are your favorite Austen retellings? Let us chat everything Austen down in the comments. And if you're here but you don't have anything you'd like to say, well, why don't you leave something that has to do with writing? So a writing emoji, a pen, a pencil, paper, something along those lines, because of course, Jane Austen was a beloved writer. And if you enjoyed this video, if you could hit that like button and also the hype button, I would really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this about books, about reading, about Jane Austen, about anything related to the cozy living lifestyle, then if you would hit that subscribe button and join my bookish community, I would love to have you here. Thank you all so much for being here, for being a part of this community, and for all of your support and love over the course of Vlogmas. This has been so wonderful. I have a little bit more still to come, so stay tuned for that. And as Jane Austen herself says, I declare, after all, there is no enjoyment like reading. How much sooner one tires of anything than of a book. Until next time, happy holidays and happy reading. Bye!